Alright, is the sound better? We should have sound now. I tried fixing this. Okay, sound is good. Okay, good. Alright, I had the toggles the opposite of what they needed to be. So, anyway. Oh, there we go. Didn't have the mic on. I'm probably now getting weird stuff. So sound is still good? Or did it mess up on me? Okay, I'll give everybody a second to tell me whether the sound is still good, because my mic was not on properly. Sound is good. Alright, yay! We've got it figured out now. Alright, cool. So, yeah, we're going to have a fun class today. I'm ecstatic about this project. It came out better than I hoped. And I think it's going to be just a ton of fun. It's funny, I've been talking with a friend today, and I'm like, I feel like I'm back after being in a weird mental place for the last almost 2 years now, just with everything that's gone on. So it just, for the first time, I feel like my old self for the first time in a long time. So it's really cool. So we are working on what I call the Advent Tower. My bangs are acting all weird. So we're going to work on that today. Today we'll be doing the construction of it. It's really pretty simple how it goes together. And then on Sunday we'll be embellishing. Whether we'll get the whole thing embellished on Sunday or not, we might do one more class for doing that. And I may push that kind of like midweek, like Wednesday or something, to get it done. Just because I know people are going to want to have it available for the first. So, I'll see what we can do on Sunday. Hopefully we can get the whole thing embellished on Sunday so you can use it. It depends on how fast you work. I work faster, or typically I work faster when I'm not, teaching it. So we'll see how that, goes. You can embellish this to be as elaborate or simple as you want. You can do it thematically in terms of whatever your Christmas decorating style is, whether you're very traditional, you do bright, you do soft colors, or you don't do Christmas and you want to just wintry, which is kind of like the sample is much more of kind of a winter, and I'll show that here in just a second. So I do have the tutorial up. Now the tutorial does not go over necessarily the embellishing. That's what I do mainly here on the videos, is going over a lot of the embellishing parts. And one of the things we will do today is go over what I used on the one that is my sample. I'll go over what some of the things that I used. I've been really careful on these since I'm not doing kids, that I'm using stuff that is not necessarily, other than one thing, excuse me, was not stuff out of my stash, but it's stuff that is readily available at any of the big box stores. So you can also order online if going into stores is not doable for you right now, which it isn't for many. So I was just really careful to use those kind of things. And it's also stuff that's readily available right now for the holidays. I also have some ideas for turning it into something else, if you don't want it to be necessarily an Advent project. So, and we'll be talking about that over the course of today. Now, I have the background papers that I used on the sample that I've shown on social media, and that's available on my website. There is some papers that coordinate with that will be available for the album that we're going to do after we finish the Advent, and that's what we'll be working on over the next couple weeks. And so those papers, as soon as I have those done and I've got a little sneak peek of the pages that I've got printed out so far that I can show you. Now, the sample that I'm going to be working on here in class is a little bit more of a traditional Christmas look. And as soon as we have that one done, I'll photograph it and add it into the accounts of those who who purchase the tutorial, so that you have pictures of this other option. But obviously I can't photograph it until I have the sample done. But those are not going to be a separate purchase. It's just if you have, if you purchase a tutorial, you'll get the photos showing the other one. And this is going to have a little bit different embellishment. It's going to still have the little cabin on the top, but it's going to be a gingerbread house. This is what I think it is right now, and a Christmas tree. And then it's two-sided, so one side will be a fireplace with stockings, and the other side is going to be some ornaments. That's where I'm at right now. By Sunday, that could change, but that's where it is right now. And there will be also, by Sunday, the papers for the version that I'm going to be doing in class will also, the digital papers will also be available. And then there will be digital papers for the album for that one as well. Now, for those of you who've been around for a while, don't send me emails. Don't get all pissy at me or anything like that, because I'm doing this project ahead of some other projects that are still outstanding. Doesn't mean those are not being worked on. Doesn't mean those aren't happening. I'm just doing those. I'm probably going straight to video and not necessarily on the live shows. Also, this is time sensitive, so sometimes that kind of pushes itself forward. And you sometimes got to go with what your brain really wants to work on, especially when I'm still just kind of coming out of this weird place that I've been in. So bear with me. Nothing's forgotten. Everything's happening. Just if it's not necessarily in the sequence that you may want it, you know, I'm doing the best I can, so sorry about that. So, all right. All right, so I was just looking at some of the comments just to make sure I'm not missing any questions people may have. Let me get this to where I can read the comments closer, but it's not without the glare. So it gets a little tricky with all these different screens. So I think it's easiest to show this thing, keeping it on this camera, and then I can show you more detail when I switch cameras. So now this is kind of tall. The box itself's about a foot tall. And then I've got the scene on the top. So bear with me here. It always looks huge on camera, and it's not as big as it always looks on camera, but to get some distance from it. So I do have photographs on it on social media, on paper doodles, and I'll take the lid off here. Now, I haven't done the back side yet. I haven't put the scene on the back side, so you can see a little bit, and I thought that worked out fine. So you can see there's where I'm going to put another scene, and these are the little shelves that the drawers go on, which are, so these are all little drawers that pull out to put little goodies in. And so there's 24 drawers, and then here, let me just set this down and take the lid. So on the lid, then there's this little cabin. And where I'm setting this in my dining room is on a kind of a buffet side table. And so it's not real deep. So I'm doing, at the one corner here, I do 1 through 12, and then it's going to flip around. And then on that corner, it's going to be 13 through 24. But I'm not going, but I don't necessarily want to see the back of the cabin. So I have the cabin. So it's got a little box for the 25th thing. And so then the cabin turns around. So when I turn the calendar, if you want it 360, that's totally fine. Then you don't have to move the cabin. But I specifically, when I was putting my embellishments on, did it so that when I turned it 180 degrees, the cabin could turn and you'd still see the front of the cabin. So the cabin will be more of a gingerbread with a Christmas tree with presents and stuff. So it's going to be a little bit more traditional Christmas. Now, let me go ahead and switch cameras, and so I can talk a little bit more about what I used on this, and then we'll get started on actually constructing it. So if Joy could let me know that the sound is okay once we switch, that would be awesome. All right, just checking to make sure the sound is still okay. All right, so again, here is the, okay, sound is good. So here is the top part. Now, everything on here is really super simple stuff. The papers that I've used on the cabin, on the box itself, so the cabin, the doors and windows, all of that are part of the papers that I used on this, my digital papers. I also used some cardboard, some corrugated paper. You can get that at Michael's. And then everything else on here is just like little, these are little felt snowflakes. And then the rest are all just different bits and pieces of the little sprigs and such that you can get at the big box stores. You know, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's. Don't want to necessarily give them all sorts of, you know, like snowflakes. And by sprigs, I mean things like these that are like a couple bucks. Easy to find. The little wood pieces that I used on the front of the drawers, which I won't be doing on the one we're doing in class. I won't be putting these. But these are a strip of just logs. Little split logs, little birch tree pieces, and they're all were attached together, and it was like a 4-foot long piece. And I just cut them apart and just didn't use some of the biggest ones. Again, super inexpensive, and all that stuff's like 50% off right now. And I very specifically did stuff using things from big box stores and such. I got these little styrofoam snowballs. You can get snowflakes that are die cut, but you also could die cut or punch. Then some of these little pieces that are little pine cones. Some that are little, got these little sprigs. Now, you don't always have to necessarily think of just, oh, tiny little sprigs. Some of the ones that I've used is I cut apart bigger sprigs. So like this little gold piece one is from a bigger sprig like this, and I just cut little pieces off. One of my favorite for winter stuff, oh, here's one that you could also use something like this and cut these little guys off to use as the snowballs. I love this one because these little pieces all come off and make great little trees. So you don't have to buy it to where it's already packaged up, but getting these bigger pieces. So don't look just in the Christmas section. Look where they have all the different foliage, and you can many times find cool things. If you also, in your stash of goodies, if you've got some holiday stuff, by all means, go ahead and use those. So, but again, this is all stuff that is easy to find at the big box stores right now. These little trees, I think I found those at Hobby Lobby. But you can find the trees all over the place. I mean, even Target had some when I was in there the other day. So you can see this one up close. Now, I used some die cuts as well. I put that one. Oh, and this is using a Sizzix die thinlits. What's this one called? It's number 664772, and it's just got some little pine and stuff like that. So you see my ring light. But this was a good one for some of the, that I put some of these in. Now these guys are part of are not die cuts, but you could use Christmas die cuts. I saw some really cute Christmas die cuts at Michael's the other day that would work if you didn't want to fussy cut these out. But these are on my paper collection that you can just cut them out close to the edge. And then on the back side, you can see I use these. You can find all over the place. I used them a few years ago and had just a devil of a time finding them, but of course now they're everywhere. So I could use some of these little cut log pieces too on this one. I won't be using those on the one that we're doing, but then these little numbers. This is the one and only thing I pulled from my stash, and these are an old Maya Road. Now I don't even know if Maya Road is still around, but they were called Wood Bingo calendar numbers. But I needed them for two different ones because they needed them for this one too. So Tim Holtz also has little numbers that go from 1 through 31 that you can also get. So you can get the Tim Holtz numbers, or you might have, like I did, some in your stash, or you can make some too. So I think I had them from when we did an Advent house a couple years ago. There was numbers on there. But in terms of how you want to embellish, you can embellish it however it works for your look or theme. As for instance, like I said, with this one, I did it so that it was very kind of that rustic woodland theme, which is very popular right now. By the nature of how I did this with creating snow and stuff on it, it gives it much more of that woodland theme. You could use the exact same background paper with the wood and not do it quite so woodlandy looking if you wanted to make it more traditional. The one thing I did also use is I used some white modeling paste to add kind of some snow that I just put on with just a palette knife, but you could just use a plastic knife too. So I added some on there just to make it look, kind of give it that snowy look. Now on the papers that I have available for this version right now, it does have the cut-aparts where I use the reindeer and this tree and this Noel for one side, and I'm going to use the fox, this tree, and where it says joy on the other side. And I should have that done on Sunday. I was trying to get that done this afternoon, but I just kind of ran out of steam and was needing to do a few other things like the dishes from yesterday. So I didn't get that that side done, but I'll be working on that probably a little bit tomorrow, and I'll have it done by Sunday so you can see that. Then it also has the door and windows for the cabin. Now I'll have different cut-apart sheet for the papers that I'm going to be using on the version we're doing here in class. So the birch logs, I think I got those at Joann's, but it might have been Hobby Lobby. I'm very lucky to have Hobby Lobby, Joann's, and Michael's, all multiples of those in my area. So those slice logs, you can, I know I've seen them at Michael's. I think I got those at Joann's, and I know I've seen them also at Hobby Lobby. So all of the big box stores, and that's what I was being really careful. I don't generally if I were making kits, I wouldn't be getting them there. But because I was really focused on trying to make sure that I was doing things from big box stores. In the future, on projects like this, I'm going to be putting together an affiliate shop on Amazon so that you can also, I can put things in a shop there to where you can, it's all gathered together there. I just haven't had an opportunity to set that up so that you can go to Amazon. Because I'm not doing kits right now. Maybe in the future, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how much demand, and I have other things that still need to ship, so I don't want to add to the load. But anyway, that's where that is. Now on these papers, in addition to the cut-aparts, you also get all the different wood tones for what we're doing. There's a white wood, and this is the one I used on the cabin. The snowflakes is the one I used as the background on the main box. This blue one is the one that I used on the faces of all the drawers. And then the dark one is the one that I used as the trim along the base and the lid. But with kind of a bluish neutral kind of palette to this one. And then with the greenish and red spots kind of fit thematically. Just then as a real quick, so you can see how this kind of all ties in. I started this paper collection last year and just never kept going with it. So I've added a few more. There's more sheets to it, but these are the ones I had printed out before this all started. But it's much more of a winter, woodland winter kind of thing, rather with touches of Christmas. So if you weren't real into Christmas, it's not screaming, hey, I'm a Christmas paper. It's much more of a woodland, winter woodland kind of theme with this one. So got the fox that's on here. Got a little different fox here. Kind of fun with the castle in there. And there's a wolf. And then just another woods. So these are kind of some of the pattern papers, and there'll be others. Now, one of the things that as I'm doing my digital papers, I'm starting to do differently is I'm doing them much the way like Bo Bunny and Graphic 45 and such does, rather than having a big, huge collection. What I'm having is I'm breaking it down to where you can get just the pieces that you want. So there's going to be the pattern papers, and those pattern papers will also include the accents, the geometrics, the neutrals, just like I do all the time, but it's just going to be just the pattern papers. Then there will also be another set that you can get that has the journaling cards with the 4x6 and the 3x4. I've had those in my collections. I'm just breaking them out. So those people who just want to make cards and you just want to buy the journal cards because you just want to do cards, you can do that. And you don't have to buy the whole collection if all you need is the journal cards. There's going to be some cut apart pieces. So again, for those people who want to do cards and don't necessarily want the pattern papers, you can just buy the cut aparts and ephemera. So it's going to have like cut aparts and some tags and that kind of thing. So it's kind of like the die cuts for like, with Kaiser Craft or Bo Bunny and that, how they had the cut apart, the die cut pads. It's going to be that without the actual die cutting. Then I'm also going to have washi tape. And I started doing the washi tape a couple months ago, and then I just didn't follow through with doing some videos and stuff. So that's some of the things that I got planned coming up, is showing you how to do some stuff with some of the washi tape and stuff in the album. So these are going to be things that you can get separately. So if you want to do the album and you want to get all of them, obviously you can. But if you just want the papers, maybe, and the cut aparts, you can do that if you don't want the journal cards. Or I'm also going to have signatures, because a lot of my albums coming up are more my photo journal type things, where they're kind of sort of journals, sort of albums. And so there will also be a pack for, signatures, covers and signature pages and stuff. So if you wanted to just do journals, you could get all the embellishments in the journal pages and not necessarily the pattern papers. So that way it's more versatile, and you don't have to, go to the expense of getting everything when you only maybe want a couple things. So by splitting it up the way, like I said, like Bo Bunny, Kaiser Craft, Graphic 45, all of those, how they break it down to where you can buy the different pieces and parts. That's where I'm going moving forward. So does that make sense? Alrighty. Okay. So as I said, there will be an album for this one. I don't have it to the point where I'm ready to show it just yet. So we'll see where I'm at by Wednesday. But we're going to finish up the Advent portion, and then we'll move on to the album and do it for a couple weeks. Now does anybody have any questions about the materials for the one I've done? On Sunday, I'll talk about the materials, what I'm using for when we start embellishing. I just don't want to completely overwhelm everybody with all of that. So on Sunday, I will show you the embellishments that we're going to use for the one we're doing here in class. And I'm also my train of thought just totally disappeared. Y'all have that same problem? So anyway, so anybody have any question about any of that? You can also drop me an email about if you're having difficulties finding something. I can maybe set you in a direction that maybe you hadn't thought about. Okay. Now I am all pre-cut out from, it's part of how I check also my, my cutting instructions. Now, one of the things I did, there was one thing, and I will make an adjustment to it, but because it's smaller rather than larger, it's not a real big problem, is on the lid. I had it, or on the base, I had it with a 1-inch sides instead of 1/2 inch deep. You can either leave it the 1 inch, it makes it a little bit taller, or cut it down to 1/2 inch. But that was a goof on my part. Okay, so here's the little cabin. Here's the drawers, which take a bit of time because there's 24 of the little drawers. So 28 of the little shelves, because it's 24 shelves and 4 tops to those. These are the faces at the top and the bottom of the little shelf unit things. So here's the top. And here's the base. And this is where I have it listed on the pattern as these being 1 inch tall. And I'm actually intended them to be a 1/2 inch tall. And I missed that. But you could leave them 1 inch or cut them down to 1/2 inch, whichever you prefer. And I'll make an adjustment on that. I just wanted to make sure there weren't any other adjustments. So I probably won't make the adjustment to that pattern until I add the photographs of this version to it. So then we have the little drawer units, side panels, and then the main box. So what we're going to start out with is putting together our base. Now you're going to need construction strips. For those of you who aren't familiar with how I do things, if you're new to me, is construction strips are 3/4 inch strips of typically craft cardstock that I score down the middle, and then I add score tape or another strong adhesive tape on each side of the fold. Now when you're taping these, you want to get close to the fold, so closer to the fold than to the outer edge, because you want to make sure it's where you need it, is near the fold rather than the outer edge. So when you're adding that on, be close to the fold. So with my base, I'm going to put my sides on. And then I've got 2 intermediate supports. Since this is a 12-inch long piece, I'm just going to eyeball where approximately 4 inches are. If you need to measure and cut it, make it straight, that's totally fine to do. I'm just going to eyeball it. That's a long distance to span with a lot of weight sitting on top of it. So giving some little extra supports is a really, really good idea. Again, these are 12 inches and I'm using 11-inch long strips, so I have to splice them. And now I always cut my corners at an angle when it's going to go into a corner. Now this end I'm splicing a piece on, so I didn't cut it. And then I use some leftover strip pieces that I can then use those rather than cutting into a brand new one. So we'll just get these put on. Yeah, Joy's favorite little pot. I keep trying to find one for her. So I hope everybody had a pleasant, if not a slightly different, Thanksgiving this year. Ours was actually, other than the fact that we didn't have my mom here, was pretty normal. I was thinking, wow, we really, I don't know if we're just antisocial or what, but, we always have a small group, so it really wasn't much different. We talked to my mom on the phone, but other than that, it wasn't outrageously different. My mother-in-law hasn't been able to join us for the past couple years, so it wasn't terribly different. The only thing we miss with her not being here now, she used to say the prayer, a Swedish prayer. That none of us. Sarah recorded it, so she at least has a recording of Grandma saying it. But so we this is going to sound really bad, but we kind of just go ushka dushka dishka vushka, because that's what it sounded like she would be saying. And so we kind of say that kind of as a shout out to my mother-in-law. And I really honestly wish we did have that she had been able to teach that to the kids, but they would giggle too much when she would say it to pick up on the understanding what she was saying in Swedish. So, but so it's kind of our shout out to her. Doesn't make any sense to anybody but us. So. But we have plenty of turkey leftovers. Of course, I told Sarah that we were having leftovers. They wanted to eat before I was done with class. And she just looked at me. She goes, "You're kidding, right?" My kids aren't big on turkey leftovers, but she just looked at me. I said, "You get at least one night of leftovers before I have to cook again." See, now I could sit and eat the turkey mashed potatoes with gravy on top. I could eat that forever. It's one of my favorite things ever. Alrighty, so then we can take... Now, on the corner ones, I make them just under the 1/2 inch, or if you're doing an inch, just under the inch. And I don't angle those little corners because I want as much... They're kind of tiny, so I want as much as I can. So I didn't cut that quite skinny enough. Because I want to keep as much on there as I can of the adhesive, so I don't want to trim those off. So. I can't believe, though, we're already done with Thanksgiving. I can't believe we're done with Halloween, too. So this is just... My son was saying the other day, he goes, "This has been the weirdest year, and that time has both flown by and gone about as slow as it can go." And it really has. It's just been such an odd year that I'm sure the vast majority of us will be more than happy to see it go. So, all right, so we got the 4 corners, and we've turned it into a little shallow box type thing. Make sure these fit without pushing the sides out. So if you need to trim them a little bit, you can do that. So. Wouldn't be a show if one of my kids weren't interrupting me. Sorry, I just gotta look at something real quick. Those who've been around for a while, they've been interrupting me since they were 9 and 11. So they just do it via text now. Yeah, the only thing you don't get now either is the parade of pets. Mainly because all we got now is cats and dogs. Or over the rodents. I put the one on the bottom, and then these I just put on the other side. It doesn't matter. These will not show unless somebody's inspecting the bottom of your tower. Alright, so we're going to pop these in. And again, I just eyeball them. As long as they're somewhat straight. So I have the base one go on one side and these guys on the other. Alright, so there's my base all good to go. So we got that all set. So we can set that aside for the moment. So now I'm going to take two of these side pieces. These are for the store units that are on the front and the back. The ones on each end are incorporated when we do the box. So we're going to do the ones that go on the front and the back first. Now I need to make some markings. I have lost a ruler and a pair of scissors somewhere in my studio, and I'm sure they ran off together, but I haven't been able to find them. So I had to dig out one of my old rulers that's totally worn off until I can get out and get a new one. But I'm sure they're hanging out together. I just haven't been able to find them. So I'm going to come up 1 inch and then mark it every 1 3/8 inches from there. And you'll have a total of 6. Did I not trim these down? Yeah, no, it's 10 now. Is that right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why is that so tall? Oh, it's 1.5 inches at the bottom. No, that doesn't. Right, I gotta look. Something doesn't sound right. What did I do, Goofy? Oh, they're not 1 3/8. That's why. If I were looking at my pattern, it's 1.5. Well, the pattern. I'm just going off of my brain. That's 1.5 is a whole lot easier to mark. It's the drawers themselves are 1 3/8 tall. That's it. Okay, so 1.5, 1.5. Okay, so then your last one should be more than 1.5. Okay, measure twice before you do anything. I'd measure the first one wrong. Okay, let's just set that on there. There we go. So 1 inch at the bottom, and then 1.5. See? Do I make you feel better? I goof up all the time. I just let y'all watch it. So 1.5 inches. So there'll be the last. This should be 2 inches, and then you've got 5 sections that are 1.5 inches and a 1 inch. 1 inch. When you do it right, it all just measures perfectly. And then 2 inches. So then I'm going to mark lines. This is easier doing it on the ends of the ruler than it is, so you can line up the straight edge along the straight edge, and then just draw it across at the end. Okay, do the same thing on this one. You have 2 sets of markings. Make sure you're on the correct ones that didn't, and not the ones that didn't get erased properly. Alright, so there's those 2. Let's go ahead and mark these while I'm in a marking kind of mood. Now, if I line these 2 up, I could have lined 4 of them, all 4 of them up. If you line them up at the bottoms and the tops, you can do all 4 of them at once. So there, I'm showing you a couple ways of doing this. Do the production method. Oops, or the individual method. And then we're going to be sitting cutting lots of little pieces of This is where if you got little scrap ones, boy, this is the time to use those up rather than cutting into the full length ones. Whoops, that was a short one. Oops. I used the throwaway piece instead of the correct length one. Okay, just a couple more and then we'll get these all stuck on. Alright, so then we got to put these guys all on. Go ahead and get them all trimmed up. It's a little tedious stuff. It's worth the little extra time to do it. Your finished project will be much better if you take the time to take care of some of these little detail things. And actually, we need ones at the top too. So I need a few more. Alright, just sit there and I'll snip these as quick as we can. Now, one thing to remember too is that this recording will be available on YouTube after the show, as well as I'll move it over onto my website in the schedule and in the archives as well. How do you know how old she was? Joy? You might not be your grandmother's age. But she did leave after you said that. Thank you, Lois. Get some good sleep. Oh, she's 11? Okay, I missed that part of things. Okay, so then we're going to attach this on. Well, I guess sometimes I watch other stuff. Sometimes I don't have a choice because my son pushes in front of my face and says, "Here, watch this, Mom." He used to do that when he was your age, and he still does it when he's twice your age. So we're just attaching these then on each of the lines. You live in Michigan, huh? Well, I live in the Seattle area, and then Joy is in Hawaii. Let's see, who else is on right now? Daisy's from Brazil. Oh, Marcy, my brain's stopping as to where you are. Alexa's in Florida. Boy, we've been learning a lot about Michigan lately. Christine is in California. I'm outing everybody's state. Marcy, oh, that's right. You're in San Diego. That's right. Oops. I dropped one. Anne Marie's in Pennsylvania, another state we've learned a lot about. I now know that some of the counties in Pennsylvania and Michigan, and I don't know more than 3 counties in Washington, so it's too funny. Pam's in Massachusetts, that's right. So, Kim, are you in Longview, Washington? We are everywhere. This is true. Lori's up in British Columbia. I want to come visit you so bad. I miss Canada. I'm going through withdrawals. We usually go up like once a month. We haven't been there since like February. Makes me want to cry. Lois has an early bedtime, so she leaves about this time. Nope, this video, this is a live show. We go for about 2 hours, and let's see, what time is it right now? We have another hour still to go. That's right, Lois is on one side of the state, and Anne Marie's on the other. And I just put those all on the wrong side. Alright, so we're going to do a little fix-it job. So I just put those on the wrong side of the line. I oriented them all so that the bottom was at one side, but I got distracted. Alright. Yeah, since there's several have come in a little bit late, what we're working on right now on this part of the box is we're making the little shelves for the little drawers to go into. Alright. So the first two, I need one of these that's going to go on the top, and then I need, where's the little ones? So I need one of the 1-inch guys that's going to go right here, and one of the 1/2-inch guys that's going to go up there at the top. So we need to cut construction strips for those. I'm glad you could join us for a few minutes, Aaliyah. You have a nice rest of the Thanksgiving break here. Alright, so we're going to just attach these guys. At that bottom. And this narrower one is at the top. Oh my goodness, your twins are 11, Marcy? Okay, I'm feeling old. Well, my kids are 20 and 22. Do you realize Trevor's going to be 23 his next birthday? Oh, they're not that old, they're not that old, they're not that old. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's just, the time flies. It just truly does. Alright, so we've got it, so then this will fold up. Oh, I need one right along there as well. Yeah, I was in my 20s yesterday too, Alexa. You literally were, though, just about. Alright, so I had one of these guys. I'm going to set that right there in the middle. I'm going to attach that guy. Take another one of the shelf type pieces. And we're going to just kiss the corner like that. Same as on that side. We're going to fold this guy down and do the same thing down here. Well, it's even worse when you spent 2 years kind of in a fog, so it is nice to be feeling more like myself than I have in a long time. Alright, so just do one side and the other. I'm going to slip this in, and you just want to snug them down nice and tight on it and kind of squish it in a little bit too, so it's nice and snug in there. And I spent my 20s mountain climbing and going to school. It makes my heart happy too, Alexa. Thank you. So these just pop right in here. So we're basically making kind of a little mini shelf. Okay, so we've got our little shelf unit, so we're going to do another one here. So again, I need my 1-inch piece, my 1/2-inch piece. Yeah, it's pretty wild all this. Sarah's doing, this is her first semester of college. Trevor's going to be starting after the first of the year. He got a bit behind with the hockey, and then he's just had some tough times, but he's doing much better now. And so Sarah wants to go into fashion merchandising. And then Trevor wants to get his degree in history and then go to law school. And feeling like I'm following so many lawyers on Twitter these days, I'm like going, it's such a perfect thing for him. But then I used to say that way back when he was 4. I used to tell everybody, this kid's going to go to law school rather than kindergarten, because he would argue everything. So I just find it rather funny that that's what he wants to go go into, but it's the way his thinking works. You know, some of this stuff that we're seeing, you know, on the news and stuff now is when it's all in legal mumbo jumbo. He reads it and then explains it. And I'm like, okay. So then he took an LSAT, which is the test you have to take. You know, it's for getting into law school. It's kind of like an SAT, but for law school. And he took a practice one, and he did really, really well on it. I'm like, yep, I think you're destined, dude. So get that rolling. So I'll be forever poor with 2 kids in school. Timed that really badly, didn't we? The one disadvantage of being older when you have your kids is that you're trying to retire about the same time. Trying to put kids through school. Boeing's probably got another round of layoffs, but my husband feels pretty good that he's going to be okay. But we shall see. Tough times right now for a lot of people. I feel very, very fortunate. Well, a couple of things that Trevor wanted to do kind of with this pandemic have just kind of blown up on him. He wanted to be a pilot, and it's like, well, that's not going to work for a few years. And then he thought about going into the military, and then decided that it probably wasn't his best thing. But the lawyer thing, it's so totally him. Sarah still wants to go live in New York. I'm going, well, so many people leaving New York, the rents might eventually get down a little bit. Well, I figure, Alexa, for your sister, that's going to, well, this weekend it's like crazy people are flying, but it's going to be improving. You know, with Boeing getting their the 737 MAX back to where it can fly again, and people freak out about it, but I'm like, it's probably the safest airplane out there right now because it's been gone over so closely. So, and things are with vaccines coming and stuff. Flying's gonna pick up again. So I will say prayers for your sister that she keeps her job. I have a dear friend who flies for Alaska, and she was furloughed for quite a while. This is the most tedious part of all of this, is getting these little shelves in. Well, making the little drawers takes a while too. He's a full-fledged air traffic controller now, Christine. That's so cool. That's such a high-stress job. That's impressive. Okay, got a little glue. Hot glue on this one. Put that on the other side, nobody will know. Yeah, Alexis, and I know Southwest is one of the ones that flies a lot of those, so it's all good. All right, so we got those two shelf units done. So we'll set those aside as well. And now we're going to grab our side pieces. Now, it's wider than it is tall, so the 10.5 is the height and the 12 is the width. So now we are going to mark it in. The easiest way to do this, it probably would have been easier before I put the shelves on, but this works. Oh, let me turn that around. Before I put the shelves on, so I'm going to line up my edges because we want this to be the same depth. And we need this at both ends. Oops. I'm going to do it on the other one as well. Alright, so that one. And now we're going to, just like we did the other one, we're going to measure the same way. Up 1 inch from the bottom and then every 1.5 inches. Now that I'm got that down, by the time you're done, you know, it's stuck in your brain. Oh, I just thought of something. I have got to tell you guys this story. It's just so crazy, crazy, cray. So, my husband goes to walk the dog last night. Okay, now I want to make sure. So, if it's 1 inch at this end, I want it 1 inch at this end. So, my husband goes to walk the dog, our golden retriever, which he does pretty much every day. He's pretty good about that. So, then he stops and talks at the neighbor, which is not the house straight across the street, but one down, and they're on the corner. We have a curving road, so they're kind of on the corner. So that guy was outside, and Rich stopped and was chatting with him. And he was talking about a couple nights ago, he has a security camera pointing out to the street. You know, a lot of people do these days with all the Ring cameras and the easy to use security cameras. So he's got one, and he shows my husband the video from a couple of nights ago. Now, mind you, we're really close to some woods. So it's not completely shocking, but it's shocking. It shows him a video of what walked down our street the other night. So I'll give you guys some guesses as to what walked down our street the other night. While I line this stuff up. Ding, 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 ding. Got it first person. We had a mama bear and her cub. My husband saw the video, or he wouldn't have necessarily believed it. A mama bear was walking down my street. What the heck? I asked Tigger, because our one cat got into a fight with something a little over a week ago. We think it might have been a possum, but now I'm like, did you see a bear there, Tigger? Tigger hasn't been going out much since then. But a bear! No, this is not cute, Joy. This is not good. This is not cute. A mama bear with a cub is probably one of the most lethal things going. Walking down my street. I'm not in the sticks. We've got, you know, Woods, 2 streets away, but oh my goodness. This is not okay. All right. Now, one of the things when I'm putting my long strips on, this line is where I want the back of my drawer to be. So if I lay this on there and line this up on that line and draw another line, try not to, it wiggled a little bit, but see how I need it to be about that far, about the width of my chipboard. When I put this on, I need that to be the width of the chipboard away from the first line that I drew. Well, those of you who know me, you've heard this before. I grew up in Alaska. We used to have moose in, this is shorter. I forgot this was it, the whole. We used to have moose in the yard all the time. It was not anything weird or unusual to have moose. And in fact, many years ago when my mom was still living up there, she had a bear on her roof who had climbed the tree and gotten up on her roof. And then Fish and Game had to come and tranquilize it, and he got moved to Fairbanks. Dumb bear. So, but, that's up in Anchorage. I'm like, are you kidding me? So, it was like, I'm like going, I wonder how often he wanders up and down the road when it's garbage day. Well, Lord, but you're up in Canada. You're in British Columbia. When we went to Banff last summer, God, there was bears right next to the road. Just, they've got these little skinny wire fence to keep the animals from walking out into the road. And it's like there was a mama, mama and a couple of babies. The little babies too. And it was like, and all these tourists were getting up really close, and I'm like going, oh, this is not good. This is not good. That mama bear could move that tiny little wire fence without even giving it a second thought. And people are feeling very secure. So again, put the width of the chipboard away from the line. Joy just wants squirrels. Oh gosh, this is not an area I expect to see a bear though. Now we get cougars down on the trail in the woods frequently. I don't know which I want. I just don't want any kind of mama with babies, because that's just scary. Alright, so now I gotta do all those little short guys again. And you're going, oh my goodness, I'm tired of watching her put these little short ones on. Now we get deer back behind my house all the time. We've had elk in the area. Elk are significantly bigger than a deer. Not as big as a moose, but getting closer. But yeah, if somebody said, oh, we've known several times that there's been a bear down you know, in the woods on the trail down there. You hear about that all the time. But not in the neighborhood. And without his security camera, nobody would probably have even known it. You get well, Deborah, Deborah's like, we get kangaroos. See, that sounds so exotic to us. This is why I keep all these little bitsy pieces. You have wallabies in Hawaii? I didn't know that, huh? Yeah, Australia, you got some nasty snakes and things too, so yeah, no thank you. And you got bugs the size of houses. Oh, hello. Speaking of wild creatures, there's a moth, a dead moth in my thing of scrappies. Yeah, that was the thing with the bear on my mom's roof, is it pooped up on the roof. And the fish and game guys were asking if they could go get it off of her roof. And she's like, well, I don't want it up there. So... New Zealand still has wild boars. Wild boars and no coronavirus. Maybe that's where she'll move. Well, there's a blast from the past, Pam. That's from like 1,000,000 years ago. No problem, Christine. Again, it's worth it to take this little extra time to do these little annoying details, but they really do make a difference in terms of your assembly. It does make it easier and cleaner to assemble. Oh, you guys in the Everglades, you got rain that just like the sky just opens up, and then you got these lizards that run everywhere. Alexa's in Florida. The little lizards that they'll just go like you're walking along and they just go flying over and across your feet. Oh, it's like mosquitoes here. And then you got snakes, and you got big old alligators. I'm sorry, I'm just not a reptile person. Alright, so now we stick these puppies on. Alright, so that's the bottom. That 1 inch is the bottom, so you put it to where the tab is towards the bottom. Tab to the bottom. Bye, Lori. Thanks for joining us. Oh, I got a little over the. You don't want your little guys here to go over that line. You got to be able to get the chipboard in there. I did it with a lot of them. It needs to line up at this edge end. I'm looking at the chat too much instead of paying attention. But that's important too. Oh, they're even bigger this year? Oh, nuts. Okay, well, I'll skip Florida for the time being anyway. You guys have a little bit too much stuff running around down there right now. I want you to promise that you're doing everything in your power to stay safe, Alexa. You guys aren't getting a lot of help from powers that be. What? Oh my God. Alexa says our biggest problem with lizards is in the winter when they freeze and fall out of trees. Are you kidding me? It's like raining lizards? Oh no 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 no. No, 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 no. Nope, nope, no thanks. No, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, nope, 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 nope. No, not this girl. Not this girl. Nope, I'm staying in Washington. Thank you very much. My husband keeps talking about wanting to retire to Arizona. He was originally talking Palm Springs. I'm going, no, too hot. But Arizona. And I'm like, yeah, except they got like snakes and scorpions and lizards. But I don't think the lizards fall out of the sky or out of the trees. Oh my goodness. Oh, I will never be able to go to Florida and think that I'd be looking in the trees all the time. Nope, 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 nope. Yeah, you can come visit me here rather than the other way around. How's that? The Alaska girl in me is showing itself real heavily right now. So, Just remember your tab to the bottom. Tab to the bottom. And don't go across the line. Well, I mean, it's like, you know, Trevor was in New Hampshire and was going to his game down in Massachusetts, and there was like thousands, not just hundreds, but thousands of dead squirrels on the freeway. We called it Squirrel Apocalypse. So this Advent thing, it's got the 24 little drawers, because, you know, 25, and then it's got the one on the top with the cabin, which is the 25, and then it holds an album inside. So it holds, you know, the 24 for every day of December. I'm going to find another moth. That was kind of gross. I didn't squeal, but insects don't bug me anywhere near as bad as, well, the Hawaii size ones do, but just the ones we have here aren't nearly as bad. Iguanas? It's iguanas that fall out of the trees. Those aren't little lizards. Those are big. No wonder it breaks windshields. Iguanas falling out of the trees. Oh my goodness. I'm just like, I'm totally wigged out. Okay. Alright, so that's our project here. So we do, again, at the bottom, we've got our little 1-inch piece, and then at the top, our little 1/2-inch piece. Dang. Yeah, sorry. I don't think I'm going to be coming to Florida soon. Frozen iguana falling out of a tree. You've officially blown my mind here, Alexa. Wow. Just wow. They just kind of, well, they kind of go numb, so they're not really dead. Great. And she could be feeding me a total line, but I'd buy it, so. Alright, so I've used up all my little scrap, well, not my longer scrappy pieces, so then I use one of these to. You got 6-inch cockroaches in Kauai, though, Joy. I mean, maybe not have 6-inch lizards, but I swear your cockroaches are that big. Well, when Trevor was calling to you when he was driving down, and he's like, I don't understand what's going on. Yeah, I had to look that up. Alright, so this is going to go at one end. So if I put it at this end. So if you do both of them to where you attach your little top and bottom. You do them both on the right side. Then they will not interfere with each other. They'll be at each end. So don't do one on the left and one on the right, because that'll mess y'all up. Yeah, I swear they are that big, Joy. I know I ran into literally in front of my face a spider that was that big. It was the size of a plate. But yeah, I was kind of being facetious and joking about the cockroaches, but they seem like they're that big. They fly. Oh my goodness. I'm never leaving home. You guys got some weird, creepy stuff. Yeah, the spiders, I've seen one with my own little eyeballs up close and a little too personal. So, y'all got creepy stuff. I'm going to stay here. We just have bears. Everybody's got their thing, I guess. Give me a bear walking down my street over a iguana falling out of a tree. Okay. Wild. Crazy. So we're almost constructed here. We're getting close. It's going to suddenly go 3D. Boom. Okay, so put this on the bottom here. And this one on the top. Alright, so I'm going to grab a couple of these guys. One's going to attach here at the bottom. So it's going to attach up here at the top, lining it all up. Same with this guy. Yeah, I'll pass on the cane spiders. I'll pass on the lizards. Just give me a bear any old day. Alright, so then we're going to take our 3-inch wide, our depth piece, and that is going to slip right inside like so. So I'm going to line up the bottom. Make sure it's nice and snug up against it. And attach it. Attach that guy. And I realize I don't have the ones on these ends. Now on the top one, I put it on the back. Now, you know, on these shelves, I don't need it on the back edge, but on this top one, I do want one on that back edge. I mean, obviously, if you felt you needed to, you could put it on each of the shelves, but I don't feel it's really necessary. So you don't have to. Yeah, no angles, no curves. Super simple. It's just tedious putting all these little shelves on. Without the shelves, it wouldn't be anywhere near as tedious. It would go super quick because then it's just basically a box. This is just a box with shelves. Okay, Sarah's calling me. I gotta answer this. Yep. Okay, well, I'm doing the show right now, so it's kind of hard. No, 6:30. I don't know. If you can turn around, oh, if there's fire trucks and all that stuff, if you can turn around, I'd turn around and then just go the back way. I'd go through like Brenton or something. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, you know what? That's okay. When I'm done, I'll give you a call. She's on her way back from someplace, and it's like stopped dead traffic, so. Alright, what we're going to do then is keeping this same one. We're going to put this one on this side. We need the finger bobber on the bottom of that. Okay, so then we're going to attach that top. And that little intersection up. Okay, so that one's there. So then this is going to attach there. So this is easiest to do standing it up. Hold that one out of the way a little bit. This is going to just slip. I'm just going to get started. So I'm just on this guy here. I'm just going to pull. Where's the camera? Oh, the delay is making me crazy. Alright, so this, I'm just pulling a little piece of that off right there. So then we're going to take, and making sure we got our bottom and our top. Did this just goof up on me? No, it didn't. Okay. These little tabby doodles out of the way. Line that up. So I can pull that off. Stick that down. There's my little shelf thingies on the inside. Then I can hold on my little tabs here. Now I got two tabs on this one. I don't need them on both. So I So why does that not have sticky? I can see the sticky from here. That one's off. Trying to get that little sticky out. There we go, the paper on. So that gives the little top thing. Now we hook this bottom one on. Thank you, Deborah. How did I get little tabs doodles on both sides? I wasn't paying attention. I was. I'm just hooking all my tabs down that need to get hooked down. Alright, so underneath there, you got them all in. And underneath up in there, you got them all in. And then we'll put them all in there. Next up is getting this guy. Then on the front side. So then I got my tab loose in there. So I'm going to just peel that puppy off. Stick him down. Make sure he's nice and snug. So he's attached down on the inside. That's why I had, okay. I don't know what I was thinking. I had tabs on pretty much everything there. I'm just too busy chatting about bears and bugs. Well, even very experienced pilots go down to... I'm just going to ask if we can change that little subject matter. It's something very hard for me, so since that's how I lost my dad. Alright, so we got our two ends, and so we've got our little shelf places on each end. So then, I mean, that happened back in 1987, so it's been a very long time, but it's still not my favorite subject matter. But he didn't take anybody out on the ground, like you say. Alright, where's the little shelf? So we're getting real close here. So I'm just going to attach just on one end. I'm not going to do both ends just to save a little time, because then I can do that. We'll run a little bit long because I want to also show you how to make the little drawers. We'll do the cabin and stuff the next class. So just like we did on the other ones, we just pop these puppies in. into the little sticky things. So I'll just do those few. So you can see how they just go in like so. Alright, so now on this bottom, we're going to put the construction strips on all 4 sides of the album part. Oh, this one didn't get tape on. I'm just going to recut them. I'll add the tape to that one later. I didn't have tape on, whoops, on both sides. Yeah, the album goes in this part right here. So the little drawers are to hold the goodies, and then it's got an album that goes inside. That's why it's big. So if people were thinking, wow, that thing's huge, that's why, because it's got an album. It's got an 8 by 10-ish album that goes inside. Bye, Marcy. Thanks for joining us. Glad you could come. So here we're just attaching it down. To the base. I think we'll start out class next time because I don't want to run too far over. We'll start out class next time doing the lid and getting the cabin ready to go, and then we'll decorate from there. We may go longer on Sunday since we're going to be embellishing, but I don't want to run too much over tonight. So. Now remember, the bottom is where it's got the 1-inch base here. This is the bottom. The skinny is the top. So make sure you're doing this around the bottom. Alright, so we're going to get our base out that we had. Remember this guy? So, and this is going to fit on there. And you're going to center it so that it's the same amount in the back as in the front. And you'll have, on each end, there will be about 1/8 of an inch-ish. Easiest way is to put one of these guys on there, and it gets kind of flush. Put another one on the other side. Even if you do it in the center, we're not attaching them down. But we can use those because that kind of shows you, yeah, see, that way we get it nice and centered. And then I'm going to stand up, reach down inside. So I'm going to fold everybody up so it's up out of the way, and I'm going to peel these off before I set it down. But if they're folded up out of the way, the sticky won't stick. Then all I have to do is reach down, push them down, and I have to sit there and try to peel these things off. So just make sure they're pushing in towards the middle. I can put these guys on the sides. Then all I have to do is reach down inside, not knocking it out of place, and stick these cookies down. So now it's attached. So then I'm going to put construction strips along here and here and attach these to the side. Now I put them on the outside. Now the distance from the corner is about the same as the width of one of these guys. So you can do that. You can also, if you really wanted to, you can put both of them on the front. If you want it in the center, you know, make a center. You know, you can kind of do it however you want to. If you don't want it to be two-sided. But I have that about 1.5 inches or so in, and then the same side on this side, so that this open area is always on the right, the little shelf things on the left. And then you got the shelf things on each end. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get these attached down and have them attached by Monday or by Sunday. And I'll also then attach this one on this side. I'll get the rest of the little shelves in on the end. We'll start out class then on Sunday doing our lid and the little cabin. And then it will we'll be decorating. So not real complicated to go together. The thing that takes the time is putting these little guys. And also I'll show you. Let me real quick show you, because it's something that you can get done before Sunday then. Let me just show you real quick one of the drawers, because you got 24 drawers to make too. So I'm going to take and I'm going to score 1 3/8 in from all four sides. So I've scored that in from each side. Now on the longer piece, which is the front and back, I'm going to just trim that straight on the line. And I trim it on the side towards the drawer of that because it's pretty wide. So I'm going to trim that on all 4 of those. Then I'm going to come out approximately 1/4 inch and then cut it to an angle on each side of the ends or the narrower section. So it's like that. It's not exactly 1/4 inch, the world won't end. So we're going to fold those little tabs in. Now if you want to just cut it on all the lines and use some construction strips, you can do that as well, if you don't want to do that. This is out of the lightweight chipboard. So then I fold each of these guys in. And you want to be pretty accurate on cutting these guys and scoring them so that they fit in your little drawers. Now I'm going to cut these little top corners off at a slight angle, tabbing my corners. Okay, the class on Sunday is at the same time. It's 4:30 Pacific. So Sunday at 4:30, same time, same place. All right, so there's the little treat drawers that will then now fit. It's a little snuggy fit, but it fits right inside my little shelf. So you're going to make a little drawer that fits in every single one of these little shelves. So yeah, there's a few. So you'll be making 24 of these. Okay. And as I said, we'll make the house, the little cabin on the top. So we'll make the little cabin guy on the top. We'll do him first thing. And as you can see, so I had set this in, so it's set at a 45-degree angle so that when it's facing, when I'm doing the drawers and stuff this way, and then because mine's going to be up against a wall and it turns, as I was telling people in the beginning, then this guy can slip down and face that way for when I'm doing the stuff on this side. Alrighty. Does anybody have any questions before I let you go? That's your homework. You get your construction done. If you want to do your lid, you can do it in advance. Otherwise, we're going to start out with the lid, and then we're going to do the little cabin, and then we're going to decorate on Sunday. And again, we're not doing the same decorating as the one that I've shown you. We're going to do something that's a little bit more traditional. And on one side, once we have this hooked on, one side's going to have a little fireplace with little stockings on it. And what I'll do is on the cutting and stuff for the fireplace, that part, the supplement that I'm going to add to your pattern once it's all complete, will have all the dimensions and cutting for doing the fireplace. And then on the flip side, it's going to be 2 or 3 ornaments. And you could actually cheat and use actual, purchased ornaments. But we're going to make some ornaments. That's where I am right now, unless I come up with some other completely brilliant idea of what I want to do on this side. So we shall see. But right now, it's a fireplace on one side, and the other side is ornaments with a gingerbread house with a Christmas tree. Now, I found some little cute Christmas trees, as I said, at Target the other day. So we can make a little Christmas tree, and then you could make little boxes as well that we can wrap. So you can even use some of your own wrapping paper to wrap these. You can also buy little wrapped boxes too at the craft store. So up to you. But so like I said, we'll be using having a little Christmas tree, and you can put some lights on it or things like that if you want to. Alrighty. So any other questions? Alrighty, guys. Well, this was tons and tons of fun today. And switch cameras real quick. Let's move this closer so you don't have to stare into the black abyss when I switch over. Oh, I hate this laptop with... It just doesn't like me. Of course, we went to, after I couldn't get it to work for the watercolor class, it kept insisting that it wasn't attached to the internet. So then I bring Trevor up to try to fix it for me the other day. Worked. No problem. It doesn't like me. So I still have to finish up the watercolor, and I'm just going to do a video for that one. So, or if I may impromptu, if decide that I don't want to do a video, I may just impromptu and not really announce it and just do it live. If you show up, great. So, anyway, so everybody have an amazing rest of your weekend, and we will see you then at 4:30 4. No, it was right the first time. 3. So 4:30 on Sunday, same time as this class was, and that specific time. So that's going to be 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, 5:30 Mountain, 4:30 Pacific, 3:30 Alaska, and Hawaii. Then it's going to be 2:30 Hawaii. So, and I don't know what it is in Australia and England. So anyway, the album is not available yet. Correct. I want to get the album relatively complete before I show it and put that up. So I am no longer ever doing. We don't put things up before they're ready to go. So, but that'll be next week. So, alrighty, guys. Yeah, for more information on what's going to be coming up available, you can watch the start of the video again, because I explain about what's the scoop with the papers and the tutorials and all that. So, Facebook did away with PST, MST, CST time zones. Well, that's not very good, Joy. Maybe we'll just, I don't know. Yeah, she went to go do the announcement the other day, and it had changed on us. So we'll get it all figured out. You can always go to my schedule, and I have a time always in there. So you can always check there if you don't want to trust Facebook, which doesn't sound like it's super trustworthy in terms of the time right now. So, alrighty, guys. So we will see you then on Sunday. So peace out. Love you bunches. Bye for now.